This was given to them. What is this? You gave a quiz at the beginning of the class, Professor. You told me I didn't have to read the book. That $50 I gave you the first day.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Now we're ready to go. We're live. We're going to start off our day by having one of our partners give us a presentation. What happened?
Nothing. We're good.
We have Roosevelt Reds and Brian Marshall from BCL, which is Building Strong Communities. They're lenders. No, we're not. Okay. So, without anything else, I'd like both of them to come up and give you a presentation.
I'd be glad to. So I'm Rosa Rios Valdez, and I am the president of BCL of Texas, Business and Community Lenders of Texas. We are a nonprofit lender, and we're chartered by the Treasury to serve and make loans statewide. And the reason we ask that you not call us a micro lender is that if you look at the annual report that we passed out, and I really apologize, I just didn't bring enough handouts. And, if you see it, and review it, pass it on. But we make consumer loans, we make mortgage loans, we make business loans, and we make community facility loans. And so micro lenders only do small loans, 50,000 and under. So this summer, we asked Travis County to declare June National Homeownership Month, and we were able to share with the commissioners that we had booked 400 mortgage loans in Travis and adjacent counties. 400. On our consumer lending, we have on our books 3,000 loans. So we're not a mortgage lender, we're not a micro lender. And then I brought a chart, and I'm going to pass out a few of these charts. Again, I didn't make enough, so if you'll just take, in this chart, what I did is I took the average loan sizes that we do with businesses. This is strictly about business now. And our average loan size for micro is $33,000. So some micro lenders will do 5,000, some will do 10. Ours don't even go anywhere near theirs. Ours tend to be 25 to 50, in that range for micro. For our growth fund, our average loan is $108,000. So when you say micro, you're talking 50,000 and below. Well, you see in the pie chart, the growth fund is bigger than micro. And then you also see in the blue that we do large commercial real estate loans. These are called the SBA 504. How many are familiar with 504? Okay, good. Good. So if everybody's familiar with 504, it's real estate transactions. On the average, our average loan under that real estate owner-occupied program is about $1.2 million. And then the green is new for us. We've got money for rural markets. So be sure and keep in mind that the green is for rural communities. We received funding at 1%, the loan to BCL of Texas for 40 years for community facilities. So you can see in green our community facility. We have one that we issued a commitment letter. That's $800,000. So when you hear these numbers, they are not micro. We can do micro. We will consider micro, but we are not about startup businesses primarily. Most of our customers in this range are established businesses that are growing. Where's our click?
I got it right here.
Okay, so here, this is a real good example of what we do. The Community Loan Center is our consumer lending. It's in Dallas, and we'll launch in Austin in January. But that's been able to book 6,000 loans in 2 years. It's a lot of loans in 2 years. As a housing lender, we're growing that product, we're bringing in new capital, and we're gonna expand that. We have booked, Wells Fargo gave us $8 million to roll out. And so that was about 700 loans for families. What we did, we didn't do the mortgages. We had to get licensed with the state of Texas. We did the down payment assistance forgivable loans. And so we were the only one in Dallas and in Austin that got that kind of financing from Wells. And then we talked about our business lending. And then we want to talk about our full cycle lending, and I have a handout. And our full cycle lending is, and it goes with this chart. So if you got this chart, it's really two pieces. I believe they could only print one piece, and you have to look at them side by side. And this is very new. This is hot off the press. This is what makes us different. We're the only ones in the state of Texas. VCL of Texas is the only nonprofit in the state of Texas that has that diversified loan mix. And we're the only ones in the state of Texas that focus on a transactional support to your customer. I'm sorry, transformational support instead of a transactional support. So let's talk about transactional. Booking a loan, underwriting, approving, booking, underwriting, approving, booking, underwriting, approving, booking. That would be transactional, right? That's what banks do. That's what some of our other CDFIs do in Texas. It's all about volume. Get them in, get them booked. Get them in, get them booked. Our approach is not that at all. Our approach is, let's see what the status of that customer is. Let's assess. Perhaps it's very similar to SCORE. Let's assess where that customer is. And then let's work through on the asset building side. We have staff that are certified in asset building. They're trained and certified. And so let's see about what this customer needs to do in terms of their long-term goals. They want to buy a car. They want to buy a house. They want to grow their business. Let's assess that. We're going to help them through counseling, coaching, credit repair, whatever it takes to get them to be borrower ready. So how many other CDFIs do you work with that are actually doing that kind of hand-holding? We're it in the state of Texas. That's a CDFI. That's actually for, if you want a consumer loan, let's see where you are. Did you borrow from a payday lender? Are you going to do that again? Let's see how we can turn that around for you. Our consumer loans are up to $1,000 per employee. For home buyer, you want to be a home buyer, how much have you started to save? Can we look at your credit score to see if you're even going to be ready for a bank? And can we put you through home buyer education classes so you'll understand what that transaction process is going to be like? So we're actually doing asset building. We are again, this is fairly new. In the whole state of Texas, we're probably the only ones that are doing that asset building support for businesses and individuals and organizations. Our goal, and Brian will speak to it later, is if you're a growing business, because that's our focus, growing businesses, how can we get you to scale? How can we help you grow your net worth for the business? How can we help you strengthen your personal network? Because when you borrow a loan, you have to have a strong personal network. You have to have a strong credit score. You have to have collateral. How can we help you get to scale? So this afternoon, a woman called me. She says, I've got an HEB contract, but I don't have, and I've been around for 5 years, right? Established business, growing, and that contract's going to help her scale. Would you give me a loan? So absolutely, we want to talk to her. That is the kind of business that we want to be helping grow and strengthen her business network. if you've all borrowed from a bank, or all businesses borrow from a bank, and I am a lender, it's about your net worth. If it's negative, I almost can't touch it. But the stronger it is, the better your opportunities are. So the asset building piece here is critical. And then we get them to what we call borrower ready. If they're borrower ready, then they're ready for any of our loan products. If they're borrower ready, the chances is that they'll be more successful. And we get them through this through the it's called mortgage, consumer, and small business loans, through that phase. And then we are available to service the account for the life of the loan, which means we're not like a bank. This department books your loan, and this department does something else, and this department handles your bank account. We are going to be the same team working to strengthen the business and help you be successful. And if that means that we go to employers and talk to our employees that took out consumer loans, and we talk to them about how they should be saving for that emergency, how they should be, saving for their children's college or any future goal that they have. This post-loan process is critical. It's what makes the borrower successful, and we get repaid. So I sat with accounting Friday, and we looked at our customers, and we know the circumstances of everybody. So if we're statewide, so if the families got flooded, we put them on deferment, and accounting has to know that. And then after a fair period of time, we put them back on payment. I had a big manufacturing company, 5,000 square foot manufacturing, the biggest employer in a small community. The building burned down. So we put him on deferment, and we constant contact. He was working out of his house, but we know our customers. So when you're a transactional lender, you're just booking and booking and booking and booking and booking, right? That's not us. We're transforming individuals and businesses to become successful with whatever they're doing. It is a transformation process. And we call it the BCL way. And so you have on that side of your, the half page, the BCL way is transformational. It teaches and guides customers to look to the future. It increases personal and business net worth. It creates equity and equality, economic equality. It adds value to the business, and it builds assets, and it benefits communities. The BCL bridges the racial wealth divide. The BCL monetizes its services for long-term sustainability. So we get funded through all of these processes. And either somebody is paying the cost, it could be a big bank sponsor, because they can't do this. The banks can't do this. So guess what? They're talking to me. They're asking to meet with me. I have one calling me tomorrow, offering me $1.5 million, because this is not what they do. So we're delighted, and thank you very much for having us join you to talk about the fact that the BCL way is different. We can do microloans, but that's not, if you move it again. So the growth fund, we talked about business capital loans. Those are loans that tend to be up to $250,000, and we get a lot of, the majority of our loans are there. And we're the lender. We have flexible underwriting. The collateral for this woman that we're going to help that got the HEB account, she makes soap. Guess what my collateral is? Soap. Why is she coming to me? Because Frost couldn't help her. And that's a true statement. They referred her to me. And so we have referral with different banks and with organizations like SCORE, because we're more relaxed perhaps in the underwriting. Business capital loans, If it's my capital, guess what I can do with it? Whatever we decide we need to do. So what we decided in Wharton, Texas, when they got flooded, and we met with the families, and they did not want to apply for an SBA disaster loan. I told them, all the businesses, apply for a disaster loan, apply. They didn't want to. It's too much work. They didn't think they would qualify. They didn't want to take the time, and SBA was right there in town, in the FEMA truck. And so we decided to create $1 million, and we loaned it out at 0% for 60 months. Who does that? $100,000 every borrower, and you have to demonstrate that you were flooded and you're going through business recovery. $100,000 at 0% for 5 years. The banks couldn't do it. My other CDFIs couldn't do it. The micro lenders can't do it. They don't do $100,000 loans. We did. But that's the beauty of it being our capital, our rules, our decision, our flexibility. We went to another community and they said, we have these habitat mortgages and these customers have bought their homes. They've been on the books for Habitat for 5 years. But now we're doing pancake suppers and we're doing fundraisers because we need to raise money for the next 2 homes. Would you buy these loans? My money, I decide. I said, sure, I'll buy those loans. So now we're on the mortgage side, we have some Habitat families. They're not the highest credit, but they are loyal in making their payments. They're wonderful customers. And a few of them did get flooded this last year with Hurricane Harvey. So our focus is primarily on the business capital loans. You know, the way I think about it, when we started doing micro, nobody wanted $10,000. Nobody wanted $20,000. I thought, why? And it finally occurred to me, you can't even buy a car for $20,000. Businesses need more. And that's what we've seen. We have seen that the businesses need a lot more. And so for 2019, because BCL of Texas started its fiscal year July 1. So my first quarter, I did a quick review for this meeting. Our average loan is $215,000, not micro. Our average loan in the business capital is $215,000. So can we go to the next slide? So that's going to be our diversity slide. Can you go to another one? And then we'll come back to that one.
These are it.
That's it? Okay. So any questions so far? Any comments? Yes, sir.
When you're doing a business loan, what kind of time frame do you usually look at?
It varies. If the person is ready, like this woman that seen me today, she sent me her material on Friday. We pulled her credit score on Friday. I told her to come see me today. She was asking for $65,000. I said I could get comfortable at 50, and if she would come in, we would talk that through. That's pretty fast. So it varies. If the customer isn't getting us anything, they're not on the list. They don't even make it to the pipeline. We've received nothing from them. A phone call doesn't get them on the pipeline. So they can apply online. This customer called me. She was referred for cost. She called me like Tuesday. We sent her the application, and she actually didn't even wait. She got it off online, bcltexas.org, and she submitted it. And that's how I got it on Friday. We submitted everything. We did a little project in Wharton where we were doing that $1 million for disaster recovery. That took a little longer because they were buying, they got flooded in their home. It was a home-based business. And then they decided they wanted to find a building on the square. And my question, did they get flooded? And they said no. But I had to get a purchase contract. I had to get a title policy. I had to get a survey. So that did take longer. So it's on a transaction by transaction basis.
Well, that was nice to know that, like that lady you were talking about needed some capital pretty daggone quick. if they process, you have the ability to move quickly to help them go.
Thank you. Yeah, we do. That's the beauty of us being, we've been a lender for 28 years. And we started doing the very large transactions. And if you can do $1 million deals, you can certainly do a $50,000 deal. So I think that's where a lot of nonprofits start like this, real small, and eventually move up to the big. We did the reversal. All we did for about 12 years were the large transactions, and we turned everybody else away. And then we decided we're doing something wrong. How do you turn away people when they're coming to you for help? And that's when we created the growth fund. And it's borrowed capital. I mean, we don't have depositors and stockholders. We have to borrow our capital. The other thing that we did, and I brought a handout, and we'll do the same thing, Brian, if you'll hand this out. We do community development. Community development means if something happens in your community and the leadership is behind it, we want to support you. But you need to let us know. So during Hurricane Harvey, one of my staff from Dallas came in. We have an office in Dallas, we have an office in Austin. And she says, is there anything we can do in Port Arthur because of the flood? And I was real quiet. I mean, Port Arthur, I know where it is. I've been there several times. And I didn't have a plan for them. And I said, can you tell me why this is important to you? She's my employee. She says, I grew up there. And on my weekend, my personal weekend time, I'm going out there delivering, clothes and money and helping volunteer. Is there anything we can do? And I said, let me make a phone call. So I called one of our national partners, NeighborWorks America, and I said, you need me to put me on the top of the list, because I knew they'd already done this in Houston. I said, this is for Port Arthur. And they sent me 7 semi-trucks of furniture to Port Arthur. And we called the community and we said, where are we gonna put it? So that we had people on the ground with the community who found us a space, who had 24-hour surveillance to make sure nobody came and took our furniture. 2 of my staff set up an online registration. We calculated that we were only gonna help 112 families. So we said, the registration's online, you must register online, and we need to know so you'll have an appointment when it's time to distribute the furniture. And if you register, you're gonna understand you have to take the furniture that day of your appointment. We had to close registration in 4 hours. I mean, the demand was so big. And so there we went, just a skeleton crew of my team. And we had a lot of community volunteers, church volunteers, city people. We had all the media, all the press, and it was pretty massive. The cars were all lined up all the way around, and we had children and people from church and groups helping load up. And we distributed to 112 families the furniture. The furniture came from hotels in Las Vegas because they upgrade. It was all on warehouse, so they incurred the cost to ship it down to us. And when you emptied those big wardrobes, there were flat screen TVs in there. It's phenomenal. So it was January, it was 32 degrees, and we were all working. But that's the commitment we have when we do community development. So we're much, much more than a micro lender. Nobody in Texas does what we do. We're it. So I'll let Brian talk about the community facilities, and then we'll open it up for more questions.
Yeah, because we want to be respectful of y'all's time
Yes.
as well. Hello, I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship for the BCL of Texas, and Rose just kind of laid out who and what we are. So when you come to this, we're going to switch a little bit and talk about diversity a bit. So what do we have here at SCORE in the Austin for a total 39% minority that runs through some of the numbers. Here's what we understand. growth businesses, they're going to grow. But our women minority businesses have different challenges in getting access to capital. Many of those are well documented on many levels of systemic, you call it what it is, that is there. But we addressed the issue. Russell went to the board and we did a lot of research on this and found, hey, wait a minute. When it comes to women minorities, we need to look at that more closely on the growth piece. And remember, BCL is a growth lender. As a matter of fact, I think on average, you get about 2 referrals, meaning they come to my office. Many of the entrepreneurs come to my office either on the phone, whatever, and I'm deferring them to you. And I'm actually following your process and then deferring them to, and many times with the business plans and the templates, guess whose business plans I'm using? Yours. But real quick, when it comes to diversity, we worked with our other partners, our other lenders. Wells Fargo had a big initiative on this, and this was targeting growth businesses that are diverse, women and minority owned. What this program does and targets is, in many instances, easing some of the requirements, credit, collateral. But one thing we are focused on, and Rosha mentioned this at the beginning, it's the growth, it's the personal net worth, the net worth of the business. So how can you guys help us with this? As we're identifying businesses that we've got about, what, $2+ million, I think we've planned that we've dollars to deploy. But they're not for your startups. We talked about that. This is more for businesses. Is the business 2+ years in operation? Does it have a pulse? At least give me, on average, in the state of Texas for a minority business, runs about 50, 60K on sales receipts. Give me a pulse. Things of that nature is what we're looking for. Is there a solid business plan? Can you decipher, is this business growing? Is it adding a new service or product? Are we adding employees to scale the growth of the business? That make sense? Questions?
You're not really involved in small business startups.
Yeah, ours is more, I call it the 80-20, because 80% we're focused on the shiny object, which is entrepreneurship. And then we focus on the 20%, which is existing businesses that can be scaled for growth.
And I'm going to respond to that also. In addition to being a lender, we truly are an economic development firm.
Yes.
And when you're doing economic development in a community, you have to see jobs. So if I'm a solo entrepreneur working from my house, is it likely that I'm going to add 5 people to the payroll? Maybe not. If I'm thinking of starting a business and I started and then 6 months later I changed my mind and shut it down, did I really create long-term permanent jobs?
Right.
So as an economic development firm, because that's how we got chartered, our focus is what impact will our involvement make to a community? And we want to add value. We created livable wage jobs. We improved neighborhoods. We're creating asset building and wealth through improved credit scores and having long-term strategies instead of, I have an emergency, let me go to a payday lender. So our focus is economic development.
And to the point, we all know the difference between an entrepreneur and a small business. Entrepreneurship is more about validation of it, perfecting whatever the model is, versus growth and scale. You've perfected that business is rocking. You understand your markets. That's where we're drawing that line. You had a question?
Yes, do you ever make loans to other nonprofits?
Yes,
Mhm.
we do. As a matter of fact, that 800,000 on the pie chart, it's a non-profit, but I remember I said it's rural for
Yes.
community facilities. It's a medical clinic in LaGrange that is buying a new facility. They've completely bursting out of their space. So we're delighted that we're gonna make them a 38-year loan.
Great, thank you.
And to answer the question back now, if someone calls in and they're a startup an idea, I take those calls as well. So we do the initial free consultation with us. Anyone that calls in, we take those. Any other questions?
do like credit lines too for businesses that,
Yeah.
okay, so, because I've got a client that's.
Here's why, because sometimes, I get them all the time, and it's not, you don't need a loan, you probably just need a line of credit. That's probably all you need for seasonality. So we do take those steps, but the answer is yes. What are you guys seeing in the businesses, that come to see you? What are you seeing? Are you seeing more startups, or are you seeing more existing businesses? Kind of give us a pulse on what you see.
Well, Brian, recently, as we looked at the numbers, we're seeing an increasing number of clients coming in here who are in business, which has been a key over the last couple of years. And so that, and I think it does, says something about the economy in Austin. What we're seeing, but I'd say that we're seeing, I don't know what the last one was, but 40.
It's getting closer to the startup number is still larger, certainly getting.
Yeah, it's about 43%.
Which is directly, if we're creating 250, 300 new businesses in Austin a month.
Yeah.
So your numbers saying we got 250,000 total, your penetration rate numbers should be on par with that.
About 43%.
And there are two micro lenders in Austin that will do startups, and so we work closely with them.
No
And
competition.
we do send them customers.
It is open, we partner, so it may not be a fit for me. I do vet. I know Rosa does too. We know, our other partners, so we'll vet for them. And go, no, you're not a fit for us. You're asking for this, it's not a fit. Now, to our other point from the financial piece, where we talked about for the financial fitness or the health, some businesses I come across that are startups, you don't need $5K, you probably need 3 and you can bootstrap that. Let's figure out how to then do that from that approach. Then you're starting a business with no debt. So there's different ways to do this.
And I wanted to give 2 examples of, I didn't say we don't do startups. We will do them.
We will.
We don't do that in many of them, but I'm going to give you 2 examples of 2 startups. One was a woman in the Houston area, not in Houston, but in the fringes, and she says, I'm moving my pharmacy. I've been in business 2 years. Would you make me a loan for my new location? And so, yes, she wasn't booming, she wasn't growing, and I needed to ask her, why are you moving? It turns out she had had quite a few burglaries of her pharmacy. And so she made a business decision to move, and we funded that. But she wasn't a booming growth business. She was still in the startup mode, but we helped her. There's another young woman.
Collateral with it?
My collateral was just equipment, computers, her cabinets. I didn't really need pharmaceuticals as collateral. So we were relaxed on that. Had another young woman who called me out of the blue and she said, I already bought the land and I've already got started. I'm building an equestrian farm and I've run out of money. And I said, how long have you had this business? She says, oh, well, I haven't even opened it yet. I'm starting to build the space. And I said, well, can you tell me a little bit about you? She says, I've grown up as a child riding horses until today. And I have a degree in equestrian studies. And she says, and my husband is helping me build it. He's very good, hard worker, odd jobs. He's a quality, and I've got a contractor. I said, send me his bids. I said, but hon, we really have a collateral problem. Says my father will guarantee the loan. I said, where's your father? She said, Minnesota. And I said, have your father email me his credit report authorization, and I want to talk to him. So he did, and he vouched for his daughter. And after we finished underwriting, I said, I need one more thing as for my collateral. I need a horse. So, so bless her heart, when you're in that business, you have all the details of your horse from the veterinarian. So she sent me the veterinarian report on her horse, and so yes, she was a startup. And yes, we will consider doing them, but think about all her years of experience. She knew the business. She grew up in the industry. She worked for equestrian facilities in Virginia when she was in college. And so her dad co-signed for her, and she's doing fabulous. We're real proud of her.
Did she have a business plan
Yes, she did.
and a cash flow?
Yes, she did.
Did it work out?
I didn't look long-term. I looked just at the first 2 years.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't look 4 or 5 years out, but she's doing fine.
Okay.
I went to the ribbon cutting when she opened up and all those little girls were there. There's nothing. I mean, either you go to big country club communities and they might have a facility like that, but in other parts of the state, you just don't. So she's in a niche market and she's doing real well.
Traditionally, we'll follow the same things, a business plan, something to that point. But yes, to Russell's point, we'll look at startups. It's about the collateral. Whether it comes to me or not, does it even make sense? I look at about 300 businesses a year. So after a while, you start seeing the trends, you kind of can figure it out. All right, I want to be respectful of our time. We went over about 10 minutes or so, but I will be respectful. If you've got any other questions for us, any more follow-up, you get Bob, Carlton, either one of them can reach out to you if you need more information. Feel free if you've got clients that you do want to send, hey, I want you to talk to somebody, feel free to send them to us. And yeah, I send between Austin and Dallas, I send about 1 to 2 per month going this way. All right, we appreciate it, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go down that hill again.
Yes. Thank you very much. Great presentation. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so go through a number of things. We don't have a lot today, but we have some points. I want to start by saying this is my last chapter meeting as chair. So I want to thank you all for everything you've done for the last couple of years. I want to especially thank also my executive committee and everybody from the executive committee that's here. Please stand up. Stand up, really stand up.
Really?
It's hard. I'm the new one, not the old one, but this is Bob Schaefer.
Yeah, Doug is on the committee. I mean, he hasn't been on it since June, but he was instrumental in a lot of things that we're doing at the chapter meeting, voting on the meeting. He's helped tremendously with the Compliance Onion Council, setting up that program, which is an ongoing program at this point, and ongoing changes. But again, it's really all of you that have made it really possible for us to get to where we are today. So thank you, and I look forward to my next chapter in sport. I also want to thank, I didn't put it in the presentation because I figured she would be here today, but she's not. Victoire is our treasurer. She's been our treasurer for over 7 years, and she's been spectacular in that position. I want to thank her on the record. We did at the executive committee meeting last week, and I also want to do it to the as well. She's really held everything together for 7 years, and she's kept us in good shape with national, and she kept us in good shape financially. So I'd like to give her a round of applause. Okay, introductions. Who wasn't here at the last meeting? Volunteer introductions. If you weren't here at the last meeting, please stand up and introduce yourself.
Rick Trahan?
Um,
Ted Windecker.
Nobody else was here, that's really good. We're gonna, Lonnie's made a suggestion, and I think I'm gonna talk to Bob about it. Maybe we should find out name tags, people use it. And maybe, Bob, not to worry about the money anymore, we can get name tags for everybody in the chat.
I think it would be a good idea.
Yeah, we should actually, we do have them. So, we could actually have Kimberly make them. We can do that. We don't have to get any more creative than that. Okay.
But let me warn you now, the last time they passed these out, they gave them to me, and I got to looking at it, and it was the magnetic ones, like Doug has. I have a pacemaker, and I was pretty well convinced they were trying to take me out. So I use the old fashioned kind, so if you've got a pacemaker, beware of the magnetic.
We'll just make the paper ones that we have. It's funny, you sitting there started to roll over. Code of ethics and diversity and inclusion modules. In my email last month, I sent out the chapter meeting, I said it was October 31st. It's not, it's September 30th. So whoever hasn't done it, and unfortunately there's about 40 members as of last week who have not taken it, they have to do it by the end of September. It's 6 or 8 minutes, so please just go online. I believe in the email that was sent with the agenda, the links are in there, so you can click on the link, go to the link, and just take care of it.
Do you have to do that 081 every year or something? I looked on the chart and they tell you when you did it and when it expires. Mine doesn't expire.
It happens. Everything is fiscal. Both of these, well, the inclusion module was new.
Yeah.
But the ethics module, is fiscal. It used to be that you signed a form and we mailed it in.
Right.
Now it's just, it's not.
Okay, well, it says on the thing, if you look on something, at least on mine, it happened in April or May, so that means I shouldn't have to take it.
In fact, you can't take it because of what John says. You can't enter it because it says you don't need it.
Okay.
Well, that could be because they haven't issued it for 19 yet. I mean, now you have to go in for fiscal 19. In April, it might not have been out. I believe it only started in June when they started it for fiscal 19. Okay. I'd go back in, and if you didn't do it since April, I'd go back in and see what it is. If it's a problem, get a hold of Kimberly and figure it out.
Okay.
But that shouldn't, I mean, I went in, I think I did it in July, and I had no problem.
We're gonna score that order.
Yes. Yeah. But again, look at the chapter meeting agenda that was emailed to you. Link is there. Click on the link. You can go
I
right
think
to
you've been deleted.
I didn't hear that.
I said, you've been deleted
I've
from
been
the.
to. Right, next Monday is our awards luncheon. Billy and Cindy will be talking about it a little bit later. But if you haven't registered to go, we would love you to be there. I think we have about 14 volunteers at this point that are coming. We would like to see that be 20, 25. It's a good function. Ken Yancey, our chairman, is going to be there from National, so also show him how involved we are with the chapter. So if you can, it's a $45 charge. Just next Monday at 11:30. So please go online if you haven't registered. Please do so. Our performance numbers continue to go up. Total mentoring is up 49% for the year. Here, this one. We'll go to the actual numbers.
It's on the slide.
Oh, yeah. You keep doing that to me. I keep asking you to do slides and then I don't use them.
I've noticed it.
Okay. That's why it's been 2 years. Okay, as I said, our performance numbers, our total mentoring is up 49%, new 17%, follow on 90%. Workshop attendance is up 39%, which is 2,400 as against 1,700. Number of workshops, God bless you, Bill, right? And now I bless Ted as well. 28%, 161 workshops against 126. I think our total last year was 140 something. So obviously we're way ahead. Total services are up 40%. 6,672 people have been seen by this chapter through mentoring or through workshops. We did, I think, last year was, the total number for the year, I think, was 4,500. So we're really doing well. Our one and done remains 58%, which is a great number, 18% ahead of last year. NPS is up 3% to 91 against 88. All our numbers are positive. So just thank you for all that you've done, and I think you owe yourselves a hand. So give yourselves a hand. I want to congratulate Mr. Shaver, who was in Russia, Norman and Kamali, for their they've been up to Waco, and we have opened the Waco branch with 2 mentors, Donnie Hunter and Fred Deutsch. Donnie Hunter used to be a mentor up at the Black Chamber in Waco when we were there. He left, and that all kind of fell apart. And in turn, he's now back with Fred. Fred is from Santa Fe. He worked for Store in Santa Fe and Strand. Now lives in Waco and is transferred to the Waco chapter. They will be housed in a new, not sure what it's called. I want to call it an incubator, but it's not. It's a new nonprofit that's going to be setting up new businesses in Waco. You know, I can change the name. I just don't know the name. So, that being said, we also were looking to open an office in Round Rock. We currently are in the library. That's on a first come, first served basis, from what I understand. And what we're trying to do, I had a conversation with Joe Harper from SBDC. We would like to see if he would let us use his space up at Texas State in Round Rock. But ironically enough, they might be moving back to Austin. So, we'll see. If that doesn't happen, that's where we will house ourselves. This time.
Who will be responsible for telling us when and how, and the details of putting them on the mentor list if we got people up in the north?
John will be, but at this point,
Yeah,
there are no new mentors there. It's just a facility.
right. Okay, but the Fred and
Oh, you talk Waco? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's when that happens and they are ready, tell us what.
Oh,
how
yeah.
it-
I
how
mean, that has
it's-
to be structured because there's
Yeah.
also going to have to be a perimeter by which they're
Yeah.
going to work.
And I don't know whether it's
They still have to update their training.
Yeah,
Yeah, all that stuff.
they're still not active at this point. And it's not going to take long with them because they have been mentors.
If they ever get back.
If they haven't even mentored. In the story of Waco. Been there. As Mr. Smith will let you know. Okay. John, you want to talk about Feinstein Council? Update?
Just be patient with us. There's changes in the works and we're slowly going through it. And you may be asked for profile changes in the future. And I know that's not one of these things everybody's just looking forward to, but we're still getting through the process. If you got problems, you can find my email someplace. I'll respond.
Just keep in mind that since we changed this, we started off the year because of the problem we were having of not being able to keep up with the requests for mentoring. We were in a negative position for the first quarter of the fiscal year. I believe it was through February we still were negative. We had been positive since February. which says that what we are doing is working. It needs tweaking, but it is working at this point. Yes, John?
I've gotten 2 requests to contact, people, and I don't do that. And, I think I forwarded one back to you. I don't know why I'm on that list.
You may be getting them from national. It depends on how your profile is set up on the national thing. There are people that get direct contacts. They say, oh, I want John Connor. Or somebody from national, or it may be automatic. They pick through a list of words and stuff, and bing. You get
Well,
shot.
I don't want to leave those people hanging,
Some of our
so
local,
I need to know what to do with them.
Just send them to Kim.
Send them back.
You send, that's,
Yeah.
when you send it
Okay.
to me, I send it to Kimberly, because
Okay,
she knows she's supposed to assign me.
okay.
So that works. Yes, sir.
When we get a request from National, does it go automatically to Kimberly or to Bob Shover?
It depends again on how it's structured.
I don't think so.
How you are set up online. So if you set up online that you'll take requests, it'll come directly to you. It won't come to
I
Kimberly.
was told that when they come directly to you, there's also a copy that goes to the administrator of the taxes.
Well, then that would be Bob.
Right, and then he will send it to Kimberly, but we're supposed to.
Yeah, I would send it to
That's
Kimberly
what
just so
I,
you're sure.
that's what I did.
Again, Bob will be administrator.
I'm not sure.
So they're gonna go to John now, so.
I'm already on the other thing.
You are. So, but I would make sure, if you get something like that, send it to Kimberly and she will. Now, if you're supposed to set up your own appointments, then just make your appointment. You're a flex mentor, just make your appointment. If you're not, send it to Kimberly. It's the safest thing. Another question? I see anybody else saying? Onboarding, John.
Okay.
Good. Click. Click again.
This will be, which one makes it go forward? Do I want one? The right, okay. Awesome. I just want to start out by thanking Bob Shaver for going on vacation 2 weeks early and making me start my new job 2 weeks early. So I think he planned this all intentionally, and I've already told him that. But anyway, here we are. We have 12 provisionals today. They're all in various stages of progression. If any of the provisional trainers that are here want to talk about any individual people on the list, I'd be happy to have you all do that now. Well, we are going to start doing something new though, starting October 1st, and actually I'm asking you today. Is these ones at the end, the biggest bottleneck we have in getting provisionals, once they've gone through everything else, and getting them active, is getting them to do one observe a co-mentoring session and one lead a co-mentoring. And that's because Kimberly's the only one that knows everybody's calendar. And just because I'm training some mentor, I know my calendar, but I don't know everybody else's. So I'm going to start presenting at these meetings, and I may even be emailing you all a list of people. These are the ones right now who are ready to do co-mentoring sessions. And their locations are up here further on the list. They're all in Austin, these 3. So if any of you have appointments, if you could, and you think they'd be appropriate for either a first co-mentoring session or to lead a co-mentoring session, if you could let Kimberly know so they can be added onto the appointment, it would be a big, big help to them. Because we have a ton of people that go through, like this is 3 out of 12, so that's whatever percentage that is, that have been sitting, Clintworth is new, but the other 2 have been ready for 6 or 8 weeks. And there's no mentoring session. Yes.
I come in, on Thursdays,
Mhm.
and I've never had a problem co-mentoring. So if you want to leave my name up, so you can go ahead and sign them, so they don't have to wait, I'll be glad to work with them.
Okay, good, that'd be great. Yes,
And for Stutzman,
yes.
she's withdrawn.
Having to drop out of that.
Yeah.
I did this like on the 17th, so,
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
yeah. And there is one new one that I am meeting, this Wednesday, for lunch, and he's from Cedar Park. And there's also a new one, Charlene Doherty, and I are sharing this responsibility. She's gonna be doing community outreach to actively go out and find new mentors. And then she'll turn them over to me for onboarding, and I'll take all the ones that come in through the email. I think all of you got an email from Charlene this week asking for help. Our EC has determined that probably the best and most reliable way of getting new mentors, and as you can see from the numbers that Bob presented with our volumes, we really do need new mentors, is to talk to people that you know. And I'm a natural born, I was a sales and marketing guy in corporate for my whole career, so I talk to people wherever I go, at the gym or Starbucks or H-E-B or in here. And I find that the best way, though, to get people to ask you what you do is for you to ask them what they do, especially if you know they're retired. You know, so what do you do now to fill your time? And then people will come back and they'll say, so what do you do? And I'll say, hi. Well, I work for SCORE and we're always looking for new mentors. And I'd be happy to introduce you or invite you to a meeting, and I give them the website and my card. And that's how I've gotten a couple of people. But we think that not face-to-face, but personal referrals are probably the best way to do it. Steve Price has already referred us one person from Charlene's email, who Charlene's going to meet with when she's back in town next week. And we're hoping that we can get at least one person from the majority of our mentors. That it doesn't mean they have to commit to anything. It just means that they will be interested in learning a little bit more about it, and then they can decide if it's good for them. Yes.
Sorry, John. I also want to introduce Tammy Malcolm, who is a professional.
Hi, Tammy.
Yes, right. I was here for the meeting last month.
You were here last time. So.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Let me suggest on that co-mentoring, I would suggest or suspect that most every mentor would accept a co-mentor. I think you should almost do it by exception. I would just have Kimberly sign them. It's convenient to the provisional. And then if the mentor objects to that, then have them say something. But I've never, when I was a provisional myself, and since I've been mentoring, I've always enjoyed having a co-mentor.
Right, I have too, but it's difficult to get it done. I don't really understand why, but it is because I'm not, it's just difficult to get it done. So I had a conversation with Kimberly when I was in last week about it. I think she understands the process now. But if y'all could even just, the way we like to do it is for the first co-mentoring session to be an existing client of yours, so that it can be a new client, but if it's an existing client, they can see how you handle it. For the second one, where that they need to lead, it works out better if it's a new client, because then that can become their first client.
So do they have to lead at the second co-mentor?
Yes.
Can't they co-mentor for 4 or 5 sessions
No.
and then lead the fifth?
No, they have to observe one and they have to lead.
If it turns out that they need more than that, do it. Yes.
And that's up to the feedback that you give.
That's the feedback you're gonna get from the mentor. If they need more, I know there's been people that, and I've had co-mentor with me and they've done it in one, and I've had others that I've co-mentored with before we.
Why don't you have the provisional, I mean, they got a schedule, there's a calendar up there, and, tell Kimberly, I can meet on Thursdays or Tuesdays at this time, and if there is a client, just get they can get with the mentor and say, I'm gonna be in there to co-mentor with you. I mean, it's not the mentor or Kimberly's job, I would think, because they don't know the provisional schedule. It's the provisional that wants to mentor. There's a calendar there.
Well,
So why don't they just say, oh, here's time available for me. I can meet there, I go for lunch, do this, and then tell Kimberly, is there gonna be anybody in there on Thursdays at noon? She should have the schedule by,
She could, provisional could call Kimberly and say I'm available such and such a day.
right, and I'm already letting her know.
And then it's very possible that, Paul says, that she could just assign co-mentoring with anybody that's, especially in the office.
Especially those of us that are there every week at a certain
That's right.
Because
Whereas,
any of us
whereas
would
with
take
the flex mentors, that's not so easy. We
Right.
don't know that schedule, it's not on our calendar. So if it's something that's flex, let's say it's somebody up in Georgetown or someone up in the Colleen, they would have to contact, for instance, Beth and say, hey, can I co-mentor with you?
Yeah.
When are you available?
And these three are all awesome. So
Well, I'm just,
I'll let
I'm
Kimberly-
trying to go to as far as Austin as well.
I just wanted to let you know that it is a bottleneck. The questions? Appreciate your help.
Thank you, John. Welcome to the executive committee.
Early.
Early. Yeah. Okay, marketing, Colton Burton. No?
You can skip me if you want.
No, go on. You can tell us about last meeting.
Stay over here, Ted, you want to stay with me? So Bob Shaver recruited Ted specifically to help manage workshops. So he's already, we've been working together a while, and has already made a great contribution in terms of trying to figure out how better to communicate about the workshops with the attendees and with the presenters. We've done about 160 workshops to date for this year, but we had about 20 that were canceled. Most of them were canceled either because, well, most of them were canceled because of lack of registration. Attendance was too low. We had 2 or 3 where the presenter failed out. What we're trying to do is make sure we add the coordinator, the presenter, and whoever the host is to the workshop registration. And about a week before each workshop, then we can automatically send out an email at a constant contact to my group to remind the attendees to show up, to make sure the presenters will going to be there, and also to make sure the coordinator knows what's going on. So try to do a lot better job of communicating and making sure we have fewer workshops canceled. And then the other goal the goal really is to do about 180 workshops next year. With higher attendance.
The email reminder that you sent out, is in place to accept. So yes, I'll do that.
We debated that, because the verbiage has, it's the same email that goes to the presenter, to the coordinator, and the attendees. I don't want to give presenters the option not to be in this.
I don't blame you.
So we talked about that, which way we should go with that. And so it's just kind of a generic reminder. Hopefully, the reminder, if they're not going to be there, they'll email us out. But we're probably, the free workshops, half the people don't show up. The ones they paid for, we still have probably 15, 20% who don't show up. And a lot of times it's they forget or whatever. Occasionally they'll come for a refund, sometimes they just, you're, so.
Well, on the, do you have the capability of text?
Not out of constant contact.
Well, because I think so many of the millennials, that's the only thing they look at is text.
Well, they're getting emails through constant contact with all the workshop list. And when they register, they get an email that says they're registered. So that's one way. What's that?
One of the problems is that we don't typically collect their telephone numbers in order to text. Now, maybe that can be added at some point, but what we have in our contact information are their email addresses.
Yeah,
That's all we have.
That would be an individual thing too. I don't think I can do that. Because constant contact is basically email based.
Awesome.
Well, I know there's a lot of programs out there that allow you to email and text at the same time. And I just, if we have a chance.
That's actually a good point. You're right. Most of the millennials I know, including my son, email, what's that? Text me.
Well, a lot of the doctor's appointments now are email and text.
Right.
So that's one thinking we ought to look into it last time,
We did look into it a year or so ago. We had major technical problems getting it done. You're right. It's something going forward. It could very well be with the new system that's coming, Salesforce system. it might be an element for it. I don't know that, but that's
Alan,
also very
When
possible.
people register for the workshops, they have your first name, last name. But we don't really even collect, as Ted said, we don't collect the funds.
Now,
I'm
the
not
system,
sure how that-
the system we use, Constant Contact, that, basically asks for those things. And I want to say one thing. I'm working with Bill here, and how many students did we have last year? How many workshops and how many students?
Have about 2,400 students and about 160.
This year.
Yeah, 2,400 emails
today.
going out,
The day.
3 or 4 times for each workshop class. This is an enormous amount of work, and that's why I'm here, is to help him. He's been doing it all by himself, and I think he needs a real big hand because he's done a great job.
Yes.
And he grew it like 39% last year, all by himself. I mean, this is amazing. It's a lot of work.
And he took on the constant contact portion of it.
Right.
It's actually made it easier.
Made it.
Sometimes it's easier to do it yourself.
I like to mention one thing. Bill is also counseling all the time,
I know.
on top of everything else. I think it's amazing.
So, but anyway,
Put
we're
a
trying to
protective
streamline it.
bubble on
I'm glad Ted's on board. Very welcome.
To add to that, we have new technology that Peter supplied us through the district. It's called an owl. I just mentioned it. Executive committee knows about it. We did a demonstration at the executive committee on last Monday. We were gonna do it today, but it didn't work out. But what that basically does is we can have a workshop here. Okay, set up the owl. And it will broadcast by computer. You sign on through Zoom, and you can actually take the class on your computer. You can interact on your computer with the live workshop that is here. We have the technology, we intend to use it here in Austin. We're gonna use it for all the workshops we do in Austin. But that will allow us to do 2 things. It'll allow us to offer workshops to people outside of the office or outside of a business setting. They can do it at home. They can do it from their office if they're an in-business company. We haven't figured out a cost structure for it, but we will. It'll probably be somewhat less, even though Nashville does more. Probably somewhat less than we charge for a workshop. Of course, any of the free workshops, we continue to offer that free as well. But that's one aspect of it. The second aspect of it is if we wanted to, for argument's sake, have a workshop here in this office and broadcast it, I'm using the old term, broadcast it, to, let's say, Harker Heights. If we have a coordinator in Harker Heights, a store coordinator in Harker Heights, and they have brought in a number of people to view this, they can view it from there as well. So it gives us the opportunity to expand all over Texas. We're actually doing it, we're gonna become the host for our district. The host workshops for a number of the other chapters in our district going forward, where they don't have the capacity of 160 workshops. They don't have the titles that we have. We're gonna offer it to them. For argument's sake, one of the first ones that's gonna happen will be a business canvas workshop that's been requested by Corpus Christi. They've asked us to put on a workshop for them from here in Corpus Christi. So that's coming. That's also will be part of fiscal year 19. Marketing. We had a meeting last week, which was somewhat discombobulated, so to speak. But we're on track now to try and put together a marketing plan, and then see how we will work with that marketing plan. Try to put together a committee at that point that will work different segments of the plan. Hopefully that's something we'll do within the next 30, 60 days. We have been, we're going to be part of a national marketing social media program, which we couldn't get in because we didn't sign up by the 31st. I just got notification this week that they're allowing us to go on to it. I said I'll let them know if we're interested in the next week or two. So that's something that we're looking at this point. So stay tuned on that. Awards function.
Yeah.
But
There it is. Okay. Oh, it's only one shot. So, this kind of, as Bob mentioned, 24th, 11:30, I'd like to see all of you there. And at least, it's your efforts that brought these people to success and getting the award. Just from, and I think, when I was going through this whole process, this is the last time I'm going to present, it's the mentors that created these successes for these businesses. And I think it's worth it that you guys at least come and see how the progress has been made by these winners. So we have 3 categories, we talked about it before. And I hope that to see most of you out there if you can. Where we are right now is that we have a score video that we have, that Celia and Anthony have developed, which is about a 3-minute video that will be played, that shows an overall what score is. Very nice video. We had to make some adjustments, it was too fast for me to read. Pardon me? I was gonna show it after the thing, so they are tempted to come and see it.
Oh.
I was gonna do that too, but, unfortunately, beyond Chavis, meeting. But at least we did a good job there. So we have a score video we're gonna play. We also have the, finalist videos. There are 9 beautiful, well-done finalist videos that will be presenting at the awards luncheon, and it'll have an agenda and presentation. And I think agenda is being passed out for those of you what you have seen, what's going to be happening, and it's just kind of, as Bob mentioned, we have Amy's Ice Cream, what's his name? Ken Yancey coming, and the SBA person coming. So it's a very good show put together, and I really, and we've reviewed that tomorrow, the 18th. We're going to go to Canyon View and do a dry run, so we know everything is done. By the way, Bill and both Bill Groskopf and Bill Hawkins did a great job in pulling it together. It'll be on our laptop, and no big deal for the videographers, nothing, it's just simple projection. That's very nice. And so we're going to have a dry run tomorrow, and the team is going to meet at 3 p.m. Finalist certificate. I think, Carlson, you want to take care of that? It's done? Very good. You're going to send me what your, how much you spent and stuff. Just we'll talk about that. Okay. And so the agenda printing, etc., everything done? I didn't get that update.
Is it finalized?
It is finalized, right,
Sure.
Julia?
This is
It is
final number what?
It is final, it's the final number 10. Yeah.
Point one, C.
And I will never say it will never change. You know, through my experience in 40 years in business. Change is good.
Well, that's the word you got.
Unless
it's been printed already, then it's
Printing is not good.
Let's have a run.
But anyway, it's a 2-page, it's close, very nice. We've collected $12,650 through tables and so far. And in that breakdown, we have 14 mentors that are paid for and attending. We have a sponsored table, 12 sponsors so far, and it's brought in about $10,500. And general tickets, which were $95 each, we have sold about 16 of those and generated about 15-20 for us. So that's a good breakout. Expenses so far minus whatever you spent counting the last phase of it, it's about $9,428. So those of you who can do the math can see where we are financially. We're doing good.
We'd like to get that number up to 160.
Yeah.
Attendees.
We got 136 so far. I said 136, but 3 more come up, so 139.
We'd like to get up to 160.
That'll be good.
We can.
Yeah.
Talk to your clients.
It's a good networking possibility for them, so I would talk to them and see if we can get them.
I don't think you can see the bottom. Can you raise this a little bit or no?
No, because it's in slideshow
Is it on
mode.
the slideshow?
Yeah.
Okay, so my last chart is all systems go. A big thank you to all the volunteers that have supported this event. I really appreciate it, but it's coming together. And we'll see what happens on the 24th. And I appreciate everybody that helped out. It was a good team effort, and you can see the results on the 24th. Yes.
For any renters that haven't been over there, this is at the Austin Realtors Center up on
Spicewood Springs.
Very, very nice facility, super.
And you get a hot Italian lunch,
Yeah.
even vegan. We have all took care of everybody, vegan, non-veg, veg, everybody. So hot lunch for $45, do join us. Yes,
What
there
time
you
is the banquet?
11:30.
11:30?
Yes, Celia, you have to say anything?
Yeah, I just want to thank all of the mentors that have their businesses being finalists. Paul Strange, Paul, you've got one coming up, it's a nonprofit. Who else in the room, I've forgotten, but you have one, it's the technical. CTN, and Carlton, you've got one. They're on the back of the form I gave you. And also, I want to give a personal thank you, because I was doing a lot of money raising, to Harold. Harold has sponsored a table. And you don't know that it's Harold because it's in Spanish. And give us the name of the nonprofit that you had and are giving to this.
Well, I worked with a lot of Hispanics here, but my wife and I have had a 501c3 for 14 years and lived it. And we don't make a lot of money, but it's not a waste of our time. So we're looking forward to being here.
We also have some really interesting people coming, like the governor's commissioner on small businesses for the state of Texas will be one of our guests, and the city will be there. So we've got, and all the people that were here this morning are our guests also. So we have a lot of interesting folks. I have some other things that I want to share with everybody. Very often people ask, what are we doing on social media? Well, we have a webmaster who tracks that on Google Analytics. So I had him run a Google Analytics report on all our social media. So you're going to see, I'm not going to pass it, unless you want me to pass it out, I'll just put them here. You want me to pass it out, or you want me to just put them here? You want to get a report of the last quarter of everything that we have done on Facebook, Twitter, for the last 3 months. You'll get all the results here. I won't bore you with the details because you can all read it. The SBA sent out a notice just this week on, they talk about the resource partners and who they are, which are us. They talk about funding and they explain it. And then they talk about government contracting. These are all new. Did you get one too? Okay. But I started to put them together, but again, you may not be interested in, but we are a resource partner of the SBA. And so with new administration and new policies and new procedures, we have a new logo from the SBA. There are a lot of different changes. If you're interested in those, they're also here. There are 3 different pages. I should have stapled them together. And then, you put it up there. Okay.
I had to find the clicker first.
Oh. Well, last time I came and it wasn't there, so I came prepared with paper. So if you want paper, you can take one, but you also have it here. Community outreach helps go out into the community to promote what we do and to collaborate with others about what they're doing, and then SCORE is a presence there. So we also build trust relationships so that when it comes time to do fundraising, supposedly our group has smoothed the ground and made that relationship a positive one, so they think about SCORE that way. They also all send us referrals. BCL, I've known Rosa since I first joined SCORE 15 years ago. We used to mentor in her space down on South Congress. So those are long relationships that have been built through the years. Brian is a new staff person, but he has also been invited to come to our luncheon. These are the things we did in September, the activities and the groups that we connected with for EGBI. That's an incubator that grew out of the, Jack, didn't grow out of the Hispanic Chamber, EGBI. We used to mentor over in their space, economic growth. Anyway, I went to their luncheon. They had a great luncheon, like we're gonna have a great luncheon. They had some of their success stories there. Victoria spoke at Austin Up. Austin Up is the city of Austin's division on helping seniors who move to Austin find employment and get connected to the community. Victoria spoke, she's an HR person, so Victoria, one of our mentors, spoke to them about the things you can do for looking for jobs. She represented SCORE. Victoria also attended the Regional Women's Business Enterprise National Council that met in Austin, works internationally as well as locally with women in business. And then plans, I have a meeting planned for the next week with Facebook in their new offices here to see how we can work more closely together. Virginia College requested that we participate in their advisory board, and Harold has developed, I've connected Harold because he's been a professor and he's going to, and served on board, so he's going to work with them. Coming up, I need somebody to go gamble. I know that sounds like fun. But People Fund is one of our micro lenders, and they have an event. The way they raise money is they have a gambling casino night. And so we pay $45 to one of you, and we'll pay $45 for your spouse too. And that gives them a contribution for $90, and then you get to, they take the money, and then they give you $1 million or $1,000, and then you go play cards. And of course, it's all play money, you realize. But if anybody,
I'd go sign up for a bunch of them.
it's October the 4th, and it's called East Night. They've had it for years. Terry Moreno and her husband have been going for years, but she can't. She's out of town. I need somebody to go. I go to a lot of these things, but I think I should share the joy with all of you. So if anybody wants to go, please just tell me, and I'll even put the payment on my credit card and then just put your name on it so that you can go. Okay, I think I didn't have anything else, did I? I think I have one pager. I'm trying to.
Yeah, I think we got you down one page.
Okay, thanks.
We send out financials. We send out financials out to the membership on a quarterly basis. So you won't be getting it this month, but you will get the year end, which will be end of September. I'd like to introduce you to Pat Coleman. He's going to be the incoming chair for finance. So welcome, Pat. I'm not going to run through the numbers on a specific basis. I'm going to read you a memo that Victoria sent out to the executive committee, kind of give you an indication of where the numbers are. If anybody wants the numbers, feel free to contact me and I'll send you the email. That's financials with comparison year over year. P&L does not include many of the pending expenses for the city of Bella Woods luncheon, except probably another 6,000 to 7,000 additional expenses. We keep on growing our expenses, which is definitely one of our problems. Revenue and types of services. Last year we ended up with a small profit. I expect to end closer to revenue neutral for 2018. Times have changed and we have to adapt to clients' expectations. Store financials are very different than 10 years ago. What it basically boils down to is that we're revenue flat for the year. We do have expenses. If I'm not mistaken, there's something administrative revenue somewhere just short of 60,000. So I mean that's a number between rent and people we have and things that we put on. So Tom, is gonna help with that going forward. Celia, of course, will continue in what she's doing with raising funds. But we are gonna try and put together a program for 2018 to try and raise funds. We have supplemented. Part of the problem is just the business, and I've said this a number of times, and I don't repeat myself, but it's worth doing. We used to collect anywhere from $10,000 to $14,000, $15,000 from books of business. That has dwindled down, I think a year or so ago to 8 or 9, and this year it's down to 4 or 5, and it's gone. As of June, the SBA is no longer funding it. We're still working up at Fort Hood 10 times a year. Parker Heights has now signed on board to pay us $9,000 to sponsor Boots for Business up at Fort Hood, as well as us putting on 4 reboot programs, which is basically the same 2-day, 8 modules that John puts on at Hood, will be done for servicemen that are out of the service at this point, and will go to Parker Heights, or they will come here for a 2-day seminar. So we have replaced that money for next year, so that's a positive sign going forward. But wherever we can raise money would be a good thing. If there's any, you know of any companies, okay, in your travels that you might think could be a good partner for us, get a hold of me, get a hold of Shaver, get a hold of Tom, get a hold of Celia, and we'll evaluate what it is, and we'll see how we can deal with it. So, you got it. You don't trust me anymore. Okay. Pete, you have anything you want to talk about on district level?
All right, you've got slides.
Okay.
I have slides, I guess I have to talk.
I didn't know we had slides.
No, great.
This is Austin.
That's the full, that's the full.
That's the district, that's just Austin.
What can I say? It's just fantastic. Once again, we've got to the position of one of the best chapters in the country. Last year we came in second in the chapter of the year competition for large chapters. And there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't apply again. And this time we're gonna make it. So, great job. I mean, what can I say? We got
District? Whoops, whoa, wait a minute. What happened to my district slide? Did you either? Okay. Got screwed up. That's it.
no districts.
Quit talking now, Pete.
Yeah, I've done it. The district numbers are also good, but not great. But it's still, the performance still puts us in, certainly in the top 10 districts in the country. There's 3 or 4 numbers I want to just comment on here. First of all, every number, every metric that we measured is positive this year in the district. The follow-on has gone up to 50%, which has been the driver of the one and done number going down from 70 to 61%. That's a great number. You know, anything in the 60s is a good performance. Our in-business clients, I originally thought it was 43%, but it's 41%. Last year it was 45%. So I'm sorry, 35%. So that number keeps climbing, and we've got to keep pushing and addressing the people out there that are already in business. And our NPS number for the district is also 91, up a couple of points from last year. And if you look at the national number, 85, we're doing quite a bit better. While these numbers all look good, they're not good enough. And we are going to embark, and I think you've heard me mention this before, we're going to do district-wide program, which is the biggest program district-wide that I have ever attempted in my position. And it's one that if it's done right, will just blow out all the numbers that we've got up here and make this district something even more fantastic and better than it is. It's the Horse Score in Texas program, which has been we've been working on it now for 2 or 3 months, and Dr. is going to be the head of this program for the entire district. I can't think of a more competent, more driven person than Bob to do this. He's probably not going to like all of the travel involved, but it should be exciting. And just to give you a couple of numbers here, if you look at the I-35 corridor between Austin and Waco, there's over 900,000 population in this particular stretch. And with the exception of Round Rock, we're really not represented between here and Dallas. Bob mentioned Waco. That's one of our targets, and we've got some others in that area. But that's a whole lot of people that will use our services. If you look at the Rio Grande Valley, there's the area around McAllen, Mission, Farr, Edinburgh. There's over 400,000 people in that area, and we don't have a branch. We don't have much of anything. So that's another, what we call low-hanging fruit that I think we can do something fairly quickly down there. Laredo is a city of 250,000 people, and we have nothing, absolutely nothing. So that's another target. And San Antonio is unfortunately a greatly underserved area. If you look at the numbers for San Antonio and you look at the numbers from Austin, it's kind of, it should be reversed. San Antonio is the 7th largest city in the country, and Austin is way outperforming San Antonio. So there's a lot of work to do in San Antonio, and all of these things are going to be put together in a plan. In fact, we have a conference call this afternoon with the San Antonio people to get things started, and we're really serious about moving this thing ahead. So 2 years from now, or even less, the district is going to look a lot different, and it's going to be a lot bigger in terms of what we do and services that we offer. A couple of other things that we're looking at for 2019. Again, in the area of expansion, the area of trying to get our services out to more people, we're looking at more video mentoring, cyber mentoring, whatever you want to call it. We don't have very many people doing that in the district. I think there's a great opportunity there. Bob talked about the workshops and exporting workshops through the new technology that we have, so we can put on a workshop here and simultaneously have people attending a workshop in San Marcos or wherever. So that's another area that we can expand our reach. Also, non-traditional clients, there's no reason why we shouldn't be working with trade associations, city government entities, these types of things for offering help. And the other thing is continuing to offer and expanding what we do in the consulting type services, the advisory boards that we've been working on here in August. I think in Austin, I think we've got maybe 3 or 4 of these things going by, but we need to try and get some of the other chapters involved in doing this type of thing. So the emphasis is on expansion. It's there. We just need to go do it. So I know I count on everybody to contribute to these initiatives for 2019. And if you don't want to listen to me, you can listen to Bob.
Good choice.
Obvious choice, sir.
Bob's the
Obvious choice.
Okay, I don't have anything else. It's going to be an interesting year. It's going to be a kind of a revolutionary year because of things that we're doing, and certainly the Minnesota Texas program it's going to give us a lot of recognition and a lot of clients and a lot of hopefully new businesses. Is there any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I had one question. When we talk about the data that you use to accumulate the stage of the companies that we were dealing with, we had an increase from 35% to 41% in established businesses. Where do you get that data? Is it from our own reports, or are we supposed to be putting that in our notes? Where does that come from?
It comes from the reports that we generate.
So in our client notes, we're supposed to be saying the stage. Okay.
Well, it comes in the MRE, when a client comes in and requests mentoring, they can say if they're in business or not, and that is grabbed by the core reports. It's not what we put in, although we might be able to get it changed. Most of it is when they fill out a request for mentoring.
Okay.
There's a line item in the request that asks if you're currently in business,
Right.
how long?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Thank you much.
Unless anybody has anything else, we can adjourn early, or we can sit around for 15 minutes.
We're adjourned.
Thank you all.
Okay, so Carl, before you.
Hey, Carl.